All right. Hi. Um, Thanks for jumping in. This is mostly just to document for myself some of the tricks and tips that I use during virtual learning. I am a hobbyist when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I try my best to use free stuff whenever possible. But there are a couple of really clutch things to purchase to help with the virtual learning that I've done, and just some tricks and tips. So I'm just going to go through that real fast. And if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, just feel free to message and I'm happy to walk through and show specifics. All right, first of all, the main software that I use, and I'm gonna pull this up so I can showcase this as we go. Main software that I use is a program called OBS, Open Broadcast Software. This one is a particular brand of it called Streamlabs. It looks like this thing with all the me's in it. Um, this one's Streamlabs. I just had this one. You can use OBS, and they are free. Now it allows you to layer different things, and you can tell that's what this is right down right there. All of these are different sources, and I can layer them sort of like layers of paper over top of each other, and that allows me to do all of the rest of these tricks. What you're looking at right now is just my desktop background. I have a third monitor on the left side that allows me to make sure I can show an entire monitor's worth of stuff. So if I've got a video or something, I'll often have it playing over here, and then you can actually see it, and I'll route the audio through. And that way that I can actually point at stuff and have it being shown right there. And so that's one trick that I do. I have multiple scenes set up in OBS as well, allowing me to jump between setups, so I don't have to spend time making them. So the main one is just a basic camera scene like this. Now the trick is I've added a background, this texture kind of chalkboard, and it's just a picture in the background. And so that's literally just this at the bottom, and it's at the bottom of the layer. If I turn that off, you can actually see if I jump back to the other, it's now, oh, still there. It's now gone. And now you might be wondering, how am I cutting off the background? And that's something that you could just leave it. I use a different kind of software that allows me to remove the background. You might see this in Zoom or something. Basically, I use a piece of software to do it for me so that then I can layer this and it allows me to just point at whatever it is, and I can show students with a finger rather than just looking for the tiny mouse that's wiggling there. I can be like, okay, on Flipgrid, I need you to go here and press that, and here's your top. So this allows me to point stuff out in a way that's a little more intuitive. And because I've removed the background of my webcam, this allows me to do that. So that's what this software is for. There is free versions of this, by the way. You can use other software to do it. Stuff like Snap Camera, that's that one. And I can show you that if you need it. And that's free, but I found this one is the best, but it does cost money. This is the thing I spent a bit of money on. And that's this software right here, allowing me to kind of remove the background of my screen. This is called XSplit vcam. I'll say that again. I'll post the links. XSplit vcam. I can set up different webcams. I have two different webcams that allow me to do like a desktop document camera style, just facing my desk. You could use a real document camera connected as well, and you can use this software to remove the background, allowing me to layer it on. So that one I actually paid for. I think it was around $40, $50, but it was super worth it. If you want to try this out, or if you're only in this for the short term, you could try Snap Camera as well, which I'll just open up here. There it goes. And this is the other camera you can kind of see that I've got going there. And that's my real background, but I can actually do a green screen removal with that if I want to. It's not as easy or as intuitive as the paid software, but it does work. You can just look for a different lens, green screen, and it'll find that eventually. And then find one in here that works the best for you. And I thought I had one that works, but I'll just do this one. And you can see it removes the green. It's not as good, but it is free. So then you could use that and OBS to remove that bright green background and sort of get the same idea as what I have with the paid software. So that's the background removal. A couple of other things that I use, another piece of software that I paid for that I find is super worthwhile It helps with engagement. It also, for me, I like telling jokes during class and having like little sound effects and stuff. So I use a software called VoiceMod. And again, this one I paid for. This is one of the pieces of software I bought. You could just have a soundboard on a web page. You can get those and just click on it and it'll play the sound, same effect, no problem. I preferred this one because it also does a voice changer, so I can select different voices. I can make myself sound like a robot, just like this, using this sound effects here. I can make it sound like I'm on a telephone. Uh, Using this kind of software allows me to kind of just change it up. I can add a slight echo and so forth. So that allows me to sonically influence the class a little bit. The other thing is the soundboard side, and there's lots of funny little sounds, and you can add your own if you spend the time to find some sound effects. I do try to respect Creative Commons, and you're allowed to use a very short snippet of a sound effect if you have to.
I bet my Wookie.
But generally speaking, I try to keep it. I mean, if it's just your class, they don't really care. And obviously, just be careful. Preview any sound effects before you press go in a class, and I'm sure it'll work out just fine. All right, so that's that. And there's a bunch of generic ones as well, and they can be pretty funny if you get the timing right. You get used to them and kind of do them as a background. Whenever I tell a corny joke, I like to press this one. And there you go. So you can mess around with soundboards. You can mess around with voice box stuff. The other benefit I like about this one is if I go to this little button, see the pointing, it helps, right? The point, I can go here and I can, this also features a background remover. So whenever my furnace turns on over there, like if I turn off my snap camera thing, I don't even know how to do that. Nope, that's not it. How do I go back? I can't go back. There is no going back. Sorry, 1 second. I can't turn that off. So, but my furnace is just over there. It sometimes kicks on, and having the background remover is pretty useful. But if you turn it way up, it really messes with your mic. It messes with your mic to turn it up way too much. So you got to use that sparingly. So that software I have found is useful. So that is my voice mod. And again, the other one was xsplit vcam, and those are really useful for presenting in class. So ooh, I don't know where that green artifact is from. That's weird. Let's get that. I think, oh, I know why. Because here, I could show you. When you're troubleshooting, there's a lot of mistakes you're going to run into. I have to remove that from my background from this. Where is it? This one. It's got a layer in here somewhere of the snap cam. There it is. I can turn off that. And if you're wondering what I just did, this one right here, right there, was on, and that's the snap cam that was showing, and I had to turn that off. So you just kind of get, it looks really complicated, but at its heart, you can just start with a webcam and a picture and just work from there. And that really is the ground of this. And then the rest you just layer on as you get more comfortable. Now, the next trick is, and I'll show you which OBS setting it is. I built a setting that allows me to show my background just by itself. It looks like this, captures that one display, right? I mentioned that earlier. Now, this is great if you combine it with the stuff your school board is providing. So if I go over to my Google Classroom, for example, I can pull that up. I've got my Google classes right there. I can now, I gotta get back to, so many things open. You don't want to do this on a computer that can't handle it, by the way. You want to make sure that your computer, if it starts to lag too much or if you start to lose your mind, just pull back, keep it simple. So this trick right here is what I want to show you now. So it's the same as that background thing where I'm displaying an entire display, my left monitor, and anything I put on that monitor gets beamed out over this. And then I take my webcam layer, that's this one, and I put it in front. And that allows me to be here and I can open up web pages and use them, just the web pages that I would have my class use. So here's all the stuff, all the classes I teach, and I can be pointing, I can, tell them, okay, you need to go up to classwork up at the top and click all the buttons, and I can really narrate my way through the web page with a face. And that is probably the thing I use the most. The absolute most that I use is being able to just sit in front of something, talk a student through it, point where I want them to see. I find it's a lot more useful than just the display alone with the mouse, because it's hard to see, and they miss out on the physical interactions of seeing the teacher. By the way, it's Friday, so I'm just kind of casual, so that's what this is. I've actually been dressing up as a mental health kind of thing to help support myself and differentiate between work and not work. But today was casual Friday, and so I don't usually rock the hoodie at work. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's that for me, I found it was an important distinction to get away from work because it can be all consuming when you're at home. So today's the exception to the rule. All right, so back to the tricks and tips. I've got my background. I can sit in front of this. I also built a Google slide, that has a lot of things that I use throughout the day. And I can change the framing of these. And I can either make a new scene in OBS where I've zoomed in a little bit on something. Let me just show you what that one looks like. Let me see. There we go. So this is exactly the same same scene that you saw just a second ago. This one. These are both the same scenes, more or less. I think I flipped the camera, but other than that, it's the same. And the benefit of this is I can zoom in on just part of what's on the screen. So how I do that is when you're, I'll just minimize this so it lists boxes to look at. So when I'm looking at OBS and I've got all these things, what I do is I click on whatever I want to modify. All right, I'll zoom in a tick and maybe even get off the screen because I find that's distracting. Sometimes you do want to be off the screen. So if I'm working on something and I want it to be zoomed in a bit, like let's say I want to have a closer image of this, I go to my display capture, whatever layer it is that I find I want to mess with, and I can then shrink it using little side arrows, or I can make it bigger. I can also crop it, and the real trick is that I press Alt on the keyboard as I'm clicking on whatever it is that I need to modify. So let's say I need to modify this. You see the little box around things, and I get my mouse at the side, turns into the little double arrow. I then hold Alt on the keyboard, and then when I click on it, I can crop it and drag, right? If I don't hold Alt, I just oh, hold on, it's thinking it's still alting. Oh, stop alting. There we go. I can click on it, no Alt, and it will resize. So these are both really useful features. So any layer, whether it's a picture that I've thrown on the screen, like this one, in the background, I can click on the side of it and resize it, right? And that allows me to do things like those, my computer's a little sluggish. I've got a lot here. So I can then drag it around. I can have it over my shoulder, that kind of thing. Or alternatively, where I've used this is I can set up a whole new background where, let's say I want to zoom in on just part of it, I can make a new scene. Now, I find over time I add too much stuff in and I make too many new scenes. At the end of the day, just keep it simple and then add back on. And then as it gets more clustered, I delete and I go back and I start over, or I choose something that's working. Like I know I'm using this shot a lot, and I'll keep this one, and then I'll go and I'll make my display capture, and then I'll start from there again. And you can always make as many scenes and sources as you like, but like I said, I find that gets to be too much over time. That's the basics of it. Well, not basics, but that's kind of some advanced tricks and tips that I use, and combine that with all the amazing software that we use, like Google Slides or whatever virtual learning environment you're using. You can guide people through. You can show YouTube videos this way, have it playing over here. Rather than sharing your screen, you could have it on the screen while you're actually working it. So I'm going to show that next. So what I do is I drag to a different monitor so that when I'm finding stuff, that students can't see, right? I know they're only seeing what's on the left monitor. I go onto YouTube now and I'll find whatever thing I want to find, and then I've got it ready to play, and then I drag it back onto the monitor. And one other thing is you might want to, if there's ever chat or anything, I click theater mode to just block that off because you never know what they're going to put on the internet. Um, Same thing with the previews. You want to make sure you turn off autoplay. Pro tip. You don't want to be talking about the video you just watched and then have some ad come on or worse. So just a couple of tips there. Then you can actually be playing part of a video over your shoulder, almost like you're in class with a projector screen, right? And you could be pointing stuff out. You could be talking about it. You could pause things and do all the YouTube tricks like play it slow or pause or jump around. That's super useful, and it's a lot more intuitive and a little more like the real class. The other thing I do though is because the internet is the internet, I'll often post the links in the chat. So if I'm talking about a particular video that we're using in class, I'll just take a second, jump over to the share button, just grab that link fresh, and I'll type it into chat, and then I'll keep going just in case a student can't be seeing it through their screen or if they need to see it asynchronously. And I, of course, always try to post my links to my Google Classroom stuff as well, or any slide decks that I'm using. So it's a lot. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to document for myself and also to anyone who wants to share some of these tricks and tips for using some of the software out there. And again, the main one is that OBS software so that you can layer it. As soon as you can layer, a bunch of options open up. After that, I can just start to play. And some of the things I've done is it really gets wacky. Like I can superimpose on top of things. I can have layers of like I've got some pictures that I can use. I've got videos. I have a picture that a reoccurring joke that I use all the time. I can have browsers. So this is a browser source, just a little flash. But you'll see in a second an animation that we made in class. We did that with code.org, and I'm just playing as a website as one of the layers that I've thrown in here. So I can have this guy. I make a joke about interacting with Tom. I just gave it a nickname just to entertain the kids, keep myself entertained. I can have many different things, animations going. I can also have legitimate special effects that I have gathered over the years, little tricks and tips. Again, it's not necessary, but I find it's kind of neat. If you find an animation or a video that would work, you can have it kind of oh, what? I'm just thinking about science, and it's just, whoa, how small are atoms? And you kind of just get a couple of tricks under your belt, and you can add to it as time goes on, and you can do the whole screen go up. Now, I found these or purchased these over time. They're not necessary, but it's a neat little thing that you can add before you before before too long with a little bit of practice. And sometimes they make mistakes and keep going. I can't turn it off. My computer's, come on, stop it. All right. And one other thing is always have a bailout, right? So I always have a separate thing that special effect didn't want to turn itself off because it's a bunch of videos and that runs pretty intensive on the computer. So the computer got a little confused and keeps looping it. So I wanted to get away from that. So I have that other camera. So I've got two cameras, this one and this one. And so I can, if I'm stuck, I can jump to the other one and just sort stuff out later if I need to. And the other thing is I've made, and I'll show you on my overview screen here. I have also made a technical difficulty screen. So that's this one up here, and I could add that in. By the way, you can nest scenes within scenes. So for example, you saw that technical difficulties sign that I have here. Well, if I want to actually use that as a source, I can do that. So you can refer in the source list, you can go add, and then you go to scene, and then add, oh, add scene, add source. Now it's got a huge list of all the scenes that I've created. And one of those was the technical one right there. Technical difficulty, I can add that in, and you can see it's now added in as an entire thing. I don't have to add it all one at a time, right? Then I can size it, I can drag it around just like any of these others. And then I can drag that out of the way, and then I can have my technical difficulties here, right? So there's a ton of opportunities here. I know it sounds like a lot, but again, start with something simple, add to it. If it works, great. If it's making your life complicated, then just keep it simple. And by all means, have some fun with it and make it interactive. And you'd be surprised how the students respond. Like, they really do like to engage with this kind of thing. They're kind of used to the quick cuts and the sound effects going on, and I find they do really tend to appreciate it in the end. So, and you can kind of build these little scripts in your head, especially if you teach something the same subject over and over again. It can be a way to kind of jazz things up a little bit. I hope this is helpful, and if you have any tips or tricks on how you use software and techniques to make your virtual learning more engaging, more interesting, then by all means, please share them. I hope that this has been helpful to you. And like I said, if there's anything I've done that you're not sure how to do and you want to learn it, I can do a video about it. So thanks again. And all the best. Take care. And just remember, whatever it is that you're doing, at the heart of it, it's the heart that you're giving to these kids. Like, if you're spending your time to make their education experience better, that is the core of it. No matter all the nonsense and all the tricks and all the pivoting, at the heart of it is you've got uh, a caring adult who's wanting to share knowledge and understanding with the students. That is the core, and the rest of this is really just a bunch of simple tricks and nonsense. So I hope you have a wonderful day and take care of yourself and your mental health and each other. And we'll see you soon. All right. Bye bye, everybody. Take care.
Lucy, I'm home.
Something's happened to my brain. It's all dried up.